Hello, Matt from the Fitness Firm here. You've been sitting around all weekend, haven't you? I'm going to show you a couple of stretches you can do, actually 4, that you can do that are basically the muscles that I treat most often in my practice, so I figure you're likely tight there. The first of them, the piriformis stretch. So piriformis is a muscle that exists in your hip. It comes from the front of the spine and hits onto the femur. It causes most of the cases of sciatica you've ever experienced or heard of, and it tends to be a bit of a problem. So for the piriformis, the easiest stretch to hit is in a seated position, crossing ankle over knee. If you're quite inflexible, you might have to let the other leg a little straighter so that you can get up a little easier, and then you can curl after the fact as needed to get the stretch. So I'm securing my ankle just over my knee. Truthfully, it's my lower shin on my knee. Once I've done so, I can apply a little bit of downward pressure here, but I'm not trying to win anything. I'm just sort of kind of keeping it down. From here, posture tall and snobby, so I'm very upright through my sternum. I'm eyes above the horizon line, and then I'm going to moon everyone behind me, slowly pushing my buttocks back until I feel a pull. Ideally, the knee should be in line with the hip from the front, so I can always pull it inward into more of a center line. I'm going to hold for 30 to 120 seconds, gently, of course, but you want to feel a good stretch in the buttocks. If you're feeling something down the leg, you're probably pushing a little too hard for what you need, or you have frighteningly tight hamstrings. Either way, gentle holds are best. You can repeat this as often as you like. And of course, both sides are a good idea. Because this muscle attaches off the spine, I always advocate for making sure that you assess when you're in the stretch whether one side feels tighter or not. If I have a markedly tighter side on one side, I want to spend more time trying to loosen that up. My body wants symmetry more so than it wants flexibility. Okay, so that's your piriformis stretch. Next, we're doing a hip flexor stretch. Now you'll probably want padding under your knee. I don't really care so much for myself. So I'm out one knee down, one leg forward. I want my weight on my front leg, weight's off of the stretching side. I like to have something to lean on with my hand, but it's not requisite. You can also go to the floor. So this is the opposite in terms of spinal mechanics. I need to slouch effectively to get the hip flexor stretched efficiently. So I'm tucking my tailbone under, trying to hide my bum. I'm lifting my belt buckle up, however you want to think of that. I'm going to anchor my lead forearm onto my lead knee, hand out front on the chair, trying to tuck my tail under so it's a posterior tilt of the pelvis. And I'm going to use my front leg to pull me in while my back knee is anchored on the floor. So this is the one time you do want to slouch. Slouching is your friend just for this. Okay, so I'm holding again for 30 to 120 seconds. Breathing is a good idea. I'm trying to relax into the stretch. We're trying to stretch through the front of the hip by tucking the tail under, rounding the back, pulling the pelvis forward, and then trying to stay as still as you're able to while you're here. Okay? Again, both sides as often as you can. That might be the most important stretch to do often. Your next one is the pec minor. Pec minor comes from the 3rd to 5th rib, attaches onto the coracoid process of the scapula, so it doesn't actually attach onto the arm itself. It goes from rib cage to shoulder blade. So to stretch this effectively, we want to get the arm in line with the line of the muscle to create a little bit more leverage to help that scapula get back. Bear in mind you get no points for doing well, so it's about perfect technique, not distance traveled. So I'm going to put my pinky toe against the wall. I'm going to put the pinky side of my hand against the wall. The hypothenar eminence, it's just a fun word. So I'm making a fist, closed fist, palm up. I'm above the height of my head, but I'm well out to the side. I'm going to anchor both of those points against the wall. And then from here, I'm just going to moon everyone behind me. I'm just pushing my buttocks back as far as I can. As I do that, I'm sinking my weight onto my legs. So my legs are bearing my weight, not my arm. My arm is merely anchored against the wall. Once I'm here, I'm going to make sure my elbow's straight. I'm turning my palm up as best I can. And lastly, I'm going to take my shoulder blade of the affected side and pull it back and down just a little bit to deepen the stretch. If you get some tingling or numbness in the arm, that's not a problem. It's just a sign that you need to do this much more often. And be mindful to do it gently. Any of those symptoms should subside within about a minute following the stretch. Your lead leg is going to take you out of the stretch. I'm going to push off the floor to take pressure away from the arm. And then our last stretch that we're going to do is a kind of a hybrid between the anterior scalene and sternocleidomastoid stretch. Sternocleidomastoid is this muscle that you see here. Scalenes are a little harder to pop out. So what I want to do is get my head backwards. Most of us spend time with the head forward. Everyone's goosenecking these days. So I want to be tall and snobby. Pretend I said something very stupid to you and you tuck the chin back as far as you can. I'm going to place one hand on the chin just for reference. Sometimes I'll go even chin and nose. The other hand is on top of the head. And I'm pulling, in this case, left ear to left shoulder. And I'm still looking straight ahead. I'm not looking down. I'm pulling my head backward as I go. And then I'm just going to see what's over there. Just a little bit of a turn. I don't want to come away from the shoulder with my ear while I'm turning or while I'm going back. I have to layer each of the movements on top of each other. So I go back, I don't go forward again. I go to the side, I stay back. I turn to the opposite side, I still stay back, I still stay to the shoulder. So that's the awkward part. You likely won't go as far as you think you should. That's okay. If you get dizzy, get out of there. don't fall down. Otherwise, hold for 30 to 60 seconds. I don't tend to hold the front of the neck stretches quite as long, although you could, just a little caution. And remember to breathe through your diaphragm while you're holding the stretch. Okay, so those 4 stretches are the things I treat most often. There are a bunch of other things that are useful, but if you do nothing but those 4 stretches, you'll do yourself a lot of good. Do them as often as you can, especially if you're bored, and try to avoid sitting for longer than you need to. Okay? Have a nice day. Bye.